I've actually not had my Botox done in quite some time, so you'll all be seeing a full range of emotions on my face today, which is rare.
Nice to meet you, Eddie. Is this a Halloween party?
Hey there guys, my name's Megan if you're new here, and if not, welcome back for a very special wedding episode. If you like all things true crime, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. And remember, if you've nothing nice to say, hiya gremlins.
Now the witch is back!
Yes, we are back with some exciting news and all of that ooey gooey wedding goodness that you've all been asking for. Also, whilst I do appreciate the concerned messages, I can confirm there is no bun in this oven. Sadly, I just have big boobs and a deep love for complex carbohydrates, okay? Speaking of food, we're about to dive in, so grab yourself a little drink, a little snacky snack. I've got one of the tombstone cookies, which were also favours at our wedding, made by the incredible Rude Cookies, who also made our amazing cake.
Get in my belly!
If I have food in my teeth for the rest of this, you just need to pretend that you don't see it, okay? Okay, so, where to begin? I guess we'll go back to the start. For those of you who are new to the channel, or maybe just, don't care about my life enough to remember, I met my partner back in 2017. 3 years later, we got engaged in Edinburgh. It was very Halloweeny, it was very spooky, very on brand. And then, like most engaged couples, the minute that ring was on my finger, all of our family and friends were asking, when's the wedding? Where are you getting married? And I must admit, initially I had no clue. I did think that I wanted to get married in Vegas. I'm naturally a really anxious little mamacita, so I just thought that my worst nightmare would be walking into a chapel and having everyone's little beady eyes just judge it away. Even though they all love us and they wouldn't be judging, in my mind, they would be judging. Shout out to mental health. Anywho, so we decided that Vegas was it. We were going to go to Vegas. We were going to get married by Elvis. I was going to wear a little mini dress. It was going to be a vibe. But we broke the news to our families, and sadly they didn't share that much in the vibe. And I think that and lockdown, the fact that, it was all up in the air whether you could travel to America. Obviously, America was very, very strict about who they were letting in the country during Schmovid. So we just put a pin in that for a bit. And for a long time, we didn't plan anything. I mean, I say we, but my fiance, God love him, he didn't plan anything anyway. So me, I didn't plan anything. And I just thought, I'll take a little rest. But people don't let you rest. No. People started buying me wedding planning books. People were messaging me on the daily, asking me, what's happening with this wedding? We need to take holidays. We need to know, is it abroad? Is it here? So for some weird reason, we just decided that it was too much hassle to get like nieces and nephews, grannies and grandpas over to America. And we decided to do a traditional Scottish wedding with a little bit of a haunted Halloween vibe twist. When I say that I scoured the internet for our wedding venue, I mean, no one worked as hard as me to find that venue. I was looking at loads of different castles, loads of different hotels and stately homes. I even thought about having it in my mum's back garden at one point when I was clearly having a mental breakdown.
Cuckoo's nest, cuckoo's nest.
And it turns out it was actually a family friend who found Path Castle. So if you don't know anything about Path Castle, it is in Peebles in Scotland, and it's one of the most haunted places in the whole of Europe. Mary Queen of Scots also stayed there, so immediately I was like, sold, where do I sign? My family and I, my sister, my aunts and my mum, we went to see the venue. Immediately when we walked through the doors, I knew that was going to be the place that I said my vows. I know it sounds really cliche, but I do think when it comes to things such as like your dress and the venue, you should get a little bit of a kind of like butterflies, gut feeling that that is the place for you. Like when you know, you know. So we looked around and yeah, we decided then and there that we were gonna book Path Castle. When it came to picking my look, I wanted something that was going to complement the venue. So initially I had always thought I would want like a big, huge ball gown dress. And I tried on a few. I'll pop a few pictures in here. And it was gorgeous, really suited like my figure, but I just didn't feel like me in those kind of dresses. And I tried on so many dresses, like a wild amount of dresses. At the time I was engaged, I actually worked in a bridal boutique in Glasgow, so I was just inundated with options, and I had in my mind the idea of a long sleeve dress with chantilly lace. I always wanted a high neck collar, just something very Victorian, 1920s, like a little nod to the past, but still with some modern accents. And I really did struggle to find something that was me until I saw a beautiful gown worn by Vanessa Morgan, who is in Riverdale, the TV show on Netflix. And even though her marriage didn't last that long, I remember seeing the photos of her wedding and I had never seen a dress like it. The detailing, the sleeves, the beadwork, the little train, it was almost a pull train. It wasn't one of those big like Italian cathedral trains that were, you know, you can't dance in. And that's something I always wanted. I want to be comfortable. I want to be able to move. I'm clumsy. Anyone who knows me knows I am the clumsiest person. So I didn't want to, you know, trip coming down the aisle. And I just fell in love with this dress. And even though it was just in pictures, I knew that that was my dress. When it came down to selecting an ivory or white gown, I was quite conflicted. I always thought that I would go for a black dress. You've probably heard me say it in previous videos. And since I was a little girl, I always thought I would get married in a black wedding dress. My mum had her own opinions on this, of course. You know, she was like the devil on my shoulder telling me, you know, you'll always have a chance to wear another black dress, but a white one, not so much. So we came to a compromise. I would wear a white gown for my ceremony, and at night I would change into something a wee bit more risque, something black, and that would be what I did. For the job of creating my custom black wedding dress, I entrusted my longtime friend and an incredible designer who is the head designer at Laurel Atara in Edinburgh. And I have to say, this girl is talented, okay? She is gifted, because I gave her nothing. I just said, I trust you. This is the vibe I like. I told her I like Elvira. I like Morticia. I loved Christine Quinn's evening dress for her wedding. It was very like beaded and sheer. And that was pretty much all she needed. She drew up a couple of sketches for me and she created something that I could never have imagined. I mean, when I say that people's jaws dropped when I walked in that black dress, they weren't looking at me. They were looking at that dress. I actually found the design process really interesting, and I did make a short video about that, you know, the dresses that didn't make the cut, etc. So I'll post that a little bit later on. and it was just a really exciting thing to be a part of. I have known Laura for years and I've really seen her grow as a creator, and she's incredible. I'm so proud of her. She's got her own boutique, this beautiful, beautiful boutique in Edinburgh city centre. And yeah, if you're, eloping, if you're not from here, go to Laurel Atara. I'll pop a link in the description box below. And if you are from here, what are you waiting for? Give her a call. I know a lot of people have been asking about my look for the wedding day and where I got my inspiration for my hair and things like that. So I think in regards to my hair, I always wanted something very sleek. I wanted to be snatched. I've not got the best hair. I've got really thin hair. It's probably because I've been bleaching it since I was in the womb, and I have naturally jet black hair. So to get it to this colour is quite a painful process. So I thought, I want it back, I want it sleek, I want it icy. I wanted it to be like a little bit retro but very clean and modern. So I loved hairdos that were like Monica Bellucci's in the 90s. I loved Bella Hadid's really slick back look at Can. I really just wanted something very timeless and very elegant. So whilst it had nods to the 90s, I didn't want it to look, like one of those crazy bird hair nest situations that we all had back in the 90s at every school disco. So we went with slick with a kind of medium height on the bun, and that was created by the incredible Pam Dock. If you don't know, get to know. She is the hairdresser just of the year, and I can say that because I come from a family of hairdressers and we are fussy. Pam and her incredible team did all of the hairs for the day of the wedding. My bridesmaids, they had this gorgeous kind of Sienna Miller inspired Hollywood wave, and then obviously I had a nice sleek bun. My mum also had a nice sleek bun, so it was just very clean, very tidy. I didn't want to do anything too boho, too messy, because I just didn't feel like that would match my dress. My dress was already very beaded, very busy. I just didn't want it to, I didn't want the hair and the dress to wear me, so to speak. In terms of makeup, I used to be a makeup artist. I'm really fussy with my makeup. I'm really particular. And it did take quite a lot of willpower to give up that control on the day of the wedding. We had two incredible makeup artists, Rachel Louise Bridal and Stacey Toner Artistry. They're both experienced in editorial makeup, so I wanted that kind of glowy, dewy, both for myself and the bridesmaids. I wanted them to all have a red lip, and can I please just shout out to all of my bridesmaids, because not everyone loves a red lip, and all of those girls were troopers. They took one for the team. They wore the red lip because it went with the aesthetic, and I really appreciate that because not everyone is a fan. I get that, but they did. They all looked gorgeous. They had that gorgeous Hollywood wave, and then that gorgeous crimson lip. They all looked fire. They had black dresses, and I'd always imagined either white or black for my bridesmaids when I was growing up. And we did this kind of one shoulder. It was a very fitted dress, but it had a lot of ruching, so you can eat your steak and then, just party and just, you're comfy. And they were from Club L London, and can I just say they were incredible. They weren't massively expensive, so Club L London, shout out to you. When people heard that we were getting married on Friday the 13th, I think a lot of people had an image in their mind of what our wedding would look like. The one thing I didn't want when it came to the theme or the vibe, I didn't want it to seem like a Halloweeny, gimmicky sort of wedding. I didn't want anything tacky. I just wanted little slight undertones of Gothic, vampire, things like that, just so that it didn't look like I was throwing a fancy dress party. Basically, I chose to kind of base the wedding on a few of my favourite movies growing up. So I always loved Practical Magic. I love the cinematography of it. I love the setting. I love the actresses, the actors. It's just a childhood fave. I also loved The Lost Boys growing up. And I kept saying to people when they asked what the kind of, I don't know, atmosphere of the wedding was going to be like, I kept saying to everyone, if Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Lost Boys, Practical Magic, and the music video of Blink-182's I Miss You had a baby, that would be our wedding. I think when planning a themed wedding, it's very easy to get overexcited and trip over that line of like tasteful into, you know, a bit OTT. So we just wanted to make sure it was just small nods here and there. And, you know, if you had seen the movies, you probably would have been like, oh, that's from that or that's from this, but nothing too in your face. So, for example, instead of having your traditional welcome sign, we had a very popular quote from Practical Magic on a nice big frame and black easel. I have to give props to my husband because he literally poisoned himself with spray paint gases the week before the wedding, trying to get it all ready. So I do love you for that. He was coughing for about 4 weeks. Again, hinting back to Practical Magic. If you've seen the movie, you might remember there's a scene where they bury this really bad guy and roses start to grow on his grave. It's like a huge rose bush. And that's also something that we incorporated into the wedding. We had a giant floral arch, all real roses, created by the amazing Natalie Dalzell Floral Design. She did an incredible job and really transformed the whole venue. For me, I couldn't have envisioned it any better. Another wee Practical Magic touch that I really, really enjoyed was we had personalised cocktails for the cocktail hour. So I chose a blackberry margarita and that was called She's a Witch. We also had little glitter bat cocktail sticks in those. And then we had, for my husband, we had one called the Dracula Cowboy. That was a gin sunset and we had little plastic cowboy hats sitting in the glasses, which was really cute. I'm just trying to remember everything else that we had. We had place names, like little place cards, and they were laser cut out little black bats with people's names on them. And then we also had, in keeping with the whole Lost Boys take, we had coffin-shaped bar signs, coffin-shaped table names, and coffin-shaped table plans. That was all made by the one creator on Etsy. I'll pop the links below for everything anyway. But it was just those little tiny little touches that were like, right, this is the kind of vibe of the day, and you know, it's not going to be too crazy. I did have some pumpkins outside. Me and my partner actually like carved them, like I think it was like the night before the wedding. I say I carved them, he did it because I'd just got my nails done. So yeah, he was a trooper with that. I just wanted something that was a little bit different and my kind of different. I know it's not for everyone. You know, if you're not a huge Halloween fan or you don't love horror movies, then it's probably, you know, not your bag. For example, we had our table names were fictional towns from horror movies. That was our table names. I know that's not for everyone. I just wanted it to be like you were stepping into something that was a little bit strange. For example, at night, we had the entire reception hall lit up with red uplighting and we had roses hanging upside down from the ceiling. I wanted people to feel like they were walking into the Hellmouth. We did really try for dry ice, but unfortunately the fire alarms were too sensitive for that, so we couldn't do that. But I really wanted people to feel like they were walking in to the underworld, into the Hellmouth. it was just what I wanted. And even though I am a Christian, it sounds very demonic. I just wanted to create that like magical space, and I think our suppliers did that really well. Like most brides, I'm probably quite guilty of going a little bit too crazy when it came to entertainment. I mean, during the ceremony, we had 2 incredible live performers. We had a pianist and vocalist, Rico Franchi. We also had an amazing live vocalist, Ainsley White, and they sang me down the aisle and also played the cocktail hour afterwards. During the cocktail hour, we had a tarot card reader from Raven & Co. And that was actually the biggest hit, the amount of people. At one point there was actually a queue. I'm the bride, I didn't even get a reading. And our DJ Edinburgh, he saved my night for me. I was so sick because I was so stressed. I mean, physically sick that night. I couldn't even drink. I'm not a big drinker anyway, but I couldn't even drink. And then he just totally turned the night around. It was a full 180. Everyone was having the best time. He just brought the good vibes and the good tunes. So yeah, that was pretty much our wedding day. And I can't thank my family enough, my bridesmaids, my mum, my aunts. Like, everyone did their best to make that such a special time for me and for my partner. And I just loved every minute of it. My bridesmaids planned an incredible hen do. We went to Paris. We did Moulin Rouge, Disneyland Paris. We did a really fun bar where a girl had fire batons. Is that what it is? Yeah, the dance batons. I'll put a picture here and you'll know what I mean. And then she was also, same girl, was dancing on a table and flashed her Kate Bush to the whole room, so that was an experience I've never witnessed before. I know this is going to make me sound like an absolute weirdo, okay, but one of the best things that I did on my hen do, which is like, your bachelorette to you guys in America, is I went on a graveyard tour. And I know I'm going to sound like a freak of the week, but it was brilliant. I enjoyed myself. I'm a spooky girl. I was in a cemetery. I was happy. Sorry, my dog is barking like a psychopath. Scarlet, no, naughty. Would anyone like to buy a chihuahua? Anyone? No? Okay.
You are a mean girl. You're a bitch.
Sorry, I'm just a bit out of breath. I've been chasing her all around the house because she's an emotional terrorist. I know a lot of you guys popped in some questions as well, some wedding related, some not. So I thought I'd pop in some of the wedding questions into this episode. I don't want to make it too long-winded, I mean, I'm sure I'm not that interesting. So I'll grab them. They're just down here. Do I look like a newscaster? Probably not. Okay, so let's dive in to question number 1. Did you partake in any strange matrimonial traditions before the big day? I actually did. I read somewhere that it's an old Spanish tradition, feel free to shoot me if it's not actually Spanish. But I read somewhere that if you plant a cooked sausage in the ground the day before your wedding, it will ensure good weather and no rain. And can I just tell you, this is twice I've done it. I did it for my wedding and I did it for one of my best friend's weddings, and it was meant to rain on both days, but it didn't. So some might just say coincidence. I say witchcraft. Question number 2. Were you frightened by any of the legal aspects of marriage? Now, being a child of divorce, I probably should have been, but I think the way things are in the world right now, divorce rates are up there, they're sky high. It's kind of like a 50-50 chance of whether it'll work out or not. But I do think that people change every single day, and all you can do is hope for the best, that you chose a great person who's not going to morph into an arsehole in the next few years. I remember someone told me if you're going to marry a person, you should ask yourself 2 questions about them. 1, if you had a son or a daughter, would you be happy for them to marry someone like your partner? And 2, has there ever been a time where your partner has done something to make you completely question who they are as a person? If you can answer those questions quite confidently and not be stressed about it, then you're fine. If they do something years down the line, you had no way of knowing that, and everything happens for a reason. Question 3. What advice would you give to a bride getting swept up in the planning process? Honestly, it's so easy to get swept up in the family drama, the details, the financial burden of a wedding. I think the main focus should always be you and your partner, and it is easy to lose sight of that. So as long as they turn up on the day and they are happy to marry you and vice versa, that's all that matters. You know, if Uncle Bobby's not talking to Auntie Jeannie, or, you know, your candles are wonky, or, you know, like your flowers aren't as red as you thought they would be, these are things that do not matter. They matter when you are in the throes of wedding anxiety, for sure, but in the aftermath, you're going to get so angry at yourself for stressing about those little tiny details. As long as, you know, he's there, she's there, you're there, happy days. I will say, if you are getting so bogged down with the stress of planning, you need to get some distance. You need to have a week or 2 where you don't plan, talk, or do anything wedding related. Just get back to you, do things that make you happy, like going for a walk, you know, walking the dog, or having a coffee, or going and seeing your family and friends. You need to make sure that you're okay, because like RuPaul says, if you don't love yourself, how in the hell are you going to love anybody else? Question number 4. What top tips would you give any newly engaged couples? Well, I will say, and this is probably going to annoy some people, but I don't care. Firstly, if you're thinking about eloping really strongly, do it. Can I just tell you, I loved my wedding. It's beautiful. We have gorgeous photos. Is it worth the anxiety and the sleepless nights? Absolutely not. Do I think I would have had a way funner time had we eloped? Yes, I do. For sure. So if you're thinking about eloping, do it. It's not worth the financial and emotional stress, and that's coming from someone who just had a nice wedding. However, I will say, if you want to have a big fancy princess wedding with like 300 folk, then go for it. But hire a wedding coordinator. Trust me when I say they will pay for themselves. It's essentially like hiring someone to be a bitch for you. You know, it's a win-win. So I would definitely say, if you've got a little bit of wiggle room in your budget, cut back on your flowers, cut back on your candles, cut back on things that really are all about aesthetics, and get yourself a wedding coordinator to take on the stress for you. My last little point should be something very obvious, but a lot of people forget to do it. And I know that halfway through my day, I really was not having fun. Have fun. Make sure you have fun. You and your partner have paid all this money to essentially host a party. If you're not going to enjoy that party, you will resent that money that you spent for the rest of your life. So just enjoy yourself. I would always say, just remember, in the grand scheme of things, it is a party. That is a party. I keep saying it, but it's important to remember. I was planning it like it was the Grammys and I was in charge of everyone. And essentially, I ended up with stress acne. I had like bald patches from like my extensions pulling my hair out. It honestly, not worth it just make sure you have fun. Make sure you do really nice little things with your bridesmaids or your family. I remember some of the best times in the lead up to the wedding was going on little days out for little lunches with my bridesmaids. We went to Joe Malone and did like a little pamper session. We went out for a nice Sunday roast. These things are the things that will keep you grounded and keep you sane. I'm trying to think if I've forgotten anything, but I don't think that's possible because I've rambled on for about an hour here. So if you think of anything any questions I've not answered, pop them in the comments box below and I'll get back to you ASAP. Oh, I did think of one thing actually. So, you know when the priest or the minister or whoever, celebrant, says, "You may now kiss the bride"? No tongues, people, okay? You're not Kourtney Kardashian, you're not Travis Barker. Nobody wants to see you tonguing your hubby. But on a less saliva-filled note, let's get into the channel announcement. It's not about the wedding, it's not about babies, it's about what's happening over on Megan True Crime. And I don't know, I think it might be better if I just show you. Yes, boys and ghouls, I've been keeping a dirty little secret from you all. I will be launching Here She Lies, a fact or fiction horror podcast just for you. Being the budding young author that I am, I have handcrafted some seriously terrifying tales for your listening pleasure. However, there is a small catch because some of those stories aren't exactly true. Yes, they may be told in elaborate detail, but that doesn't really mean a thing. So it's up to you to determine whether I'm spitting facts or just talking fibs. Do you think you could see through my deception? Well, I guess we'll have to find out when I ask you the question, are you calling me a liar?
911, what's your emergency?
You calling me a liar?
Oh my god, you coming? We are coming.
Yes, gremlins, I have been missing, but with good reason, because we have not just one, but two new podcasts coming at ya. It's something I've really wanted to do for so long. I've been working on it for almost 6 months now, trying to get it up and ready, and I hope you guys enjoy it because surprise, surprise. So sorry, R.I.P. Cilla Black. I just tarnished your memory right there. Surprise, surprise. We have the first ever episode, episode 1 of Here She Lies, coming up right after this. You can watch on YouTube, you can listen on Spotify, whatever your little heart desires. But hold your horses before you click off. That's not all, because Killer Weekend will also become a podcast. We will still be on YouTube, I cannot say that enough, but we will also be moving over to Spotify. So if you have any case submissions for Killer Weekend, please email them to me, megankillerweekend@gmail.com, vice versa. If you have any true stories or fictional story ideas, then please send them to me at hereSheLiesPodcast@gmail.com. Here She Lies will be airing tonight, and as a little homage to our beloved Weirdo Wednesday episodes, you can tune in every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. UK time. If you're more of a true crime gal, then Killer Weekend will be going live every Friday night at 9 p.m. UK time too. I've been working my little keister off to bring you weekly and consistent content, so please enjoy and let me know what you think of the new podcasts. I love you all so much, so please remember to lock your doors, don't talk to strangers, and ladies and gentlemen and they them, don't marry a horrible person, okay? I mean, just do your best, because let's be honest, it's a very shallow pool out there if you're shopping for a man. See ya! big kisses.
911, what's your emergency?
You calling me a liar?